Cheating yay nay. Boyfriend 8 months ago was sexting an old friend on Instagram. I forgave him and moved forward. He deleted her and said our relationship was more important. He added her back recently and thinks I'm overreacting. For one, think it's disrespectful, but apparently I'm overreacting. Thoughts? He said the relationship was more important but then adds her back. He doesn't really know what he wants. Absolute betrayal of your trust. You're in the right. Disgustingly disrespectful. To me, cheating is interacting sexually with another person, which he did. I wonder how he would feel if you were sexting with a guy friend and added him back. Bruh, dump his ass, that's cheating, smiley face. I, 24F, made an ill-advised comment to my ex. BF, 27M, and I think he might sue me now. Backstory: I have been dating this guy for roughly a year and a half. I thought things were generally going well. The problem is that near the beginning of our relationship there was a date that I have bad memories about because he was being a little pushy about having sex for the first time and I wasn't ready for that yet. I tried telling him that I didn't think we were there yet and he complained that it had been long enough. This was our 4th date in about 3 weeks. So I gave in and let him have sex with me. I wasn't happy about it, but I didn't tell him no / he didn't force me or anything like that. I guess I was a little worried that he wouldn't be interested anymore if he thought I was holding out on him, so this was something I would just have to do. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but after a few weeks I felt ready for a sexual relationship and we started doing it regularly. Since then things were good. I thought he was a great boyfriend, very driven in his career, but he still pays attention to me and likes organizing dates and fun activities for the two of us. We found a place for just the two of us after his lease expired, so we don't have to live with roommates anymore. Everything was going well until about a week ago when we were talking about how we first started dating, and I made a remark about how the first time we had sex was a bit rapey. I didn't mean that he raped me or that I think he's a rapist, but his demeanor changed completely. He went quiet and I could tell he was angry. He said I was calling him a rapist, and then he just walked out. Came back a few hours later to pack some of his things and he wouldn't listen when I tried apologizing to him. I found out from one of our close friends, really the only person that I can talk to about this without feeling mortified, that he is crashing with his brother at the moment, and that they are discussing legal options. I know his brother is a lawyer, but I had no idea what the hell legal options meant or why they would even be necessary. Apparently his brother has him convinced that I'm out to ruin his life and that they'll need to be ready to sue if I start calling him a rapist. So he's gone North Carolina with me and won't answer my calls, texts or emails. I wasn't going to start calling him a rapist because I don't think he raped me. It was a stupid comment made half in jest and I don't want it to destroy a good relationship. Is there any way I can convince him that I didn't mean it? Edit: the friend said she would carry a message to him and his brother from me, basically just saying I'm sorry and that I didn't pick my words well. I never thought it would escalate to this. I read a comment here saying I should have said that I thought he was insensitive to my feelings the first time we had sex and that would probably be a better fit for what I meant. I also got a lot of DMs saying he raped me and I just do not agree with that. I haven't been brainwashed into that, I just wasn't raped. I know there's a good chance the relationship is over, but I'll wait and see if he accepts my apology. Is there any way I can convince him that I didn't mean it? No. Not only is it a waste of time to try to convince him, in fact if him and his lawyer brother are discussing legal options, the absolute worst thing you could do is to try to convince him or even talk to him. It is so easy to say something you think is innocent but is actually incriminating when you think you are playing checkers when in reality you are actually playing chess with someone who knows the game well. Destroy this good relationship. Don't talk to him even if he reaches out. It could be a plan by his brother to get you to incriminate yourself. Just isn't worth the risk. I can see both sides. Your first time having sex wasn't enthusiastically consensual and you really more gave in because you didn't want him to stop dating you if you didn't. So your sentiment wasn't wrong, but the term rapey, or any term that involves the root word rape, is likely to trigger reactions in a lot of, if not most, people. My guess is that, in different circumstances, he would have taken a little time to chill and come down from that knee-jerk reaction to the word you used, then would have come back and talked it over. However, if your specific case, he probably called his brother, maybe among other friends as well, to vent, and it was likely his lawyer brother who told him to cut contact entirely and be ready to react if you started telling others he'd been rapey. I don't think he intends to just randomly sue you now. I think, based on his phrasing and my admittedly limited knowledge of the law, that them discussing legal options just means in a reactionary sense rather than actively planning to file a lawsuit, as in, they would have paperwork ready to react if you ever did start calling him that. That said, I think the relationship itself is over. Fear has been planted in his head that you think that of him and that you would use that word in association with him, partly due to your ingest comment and partly due to his brother warning him what could happen, and that fear isn't going to go away now. Legal options may also mean they are looking for ways to legally evict her if they're living together. Good lord, this comment section is toxic AF. It's doubtful he'll sue, but he has probably gone into major damage control mode. My assumption is that he is seeking ways to protect himself from a rape accusation/charge. What's he going to sue her for? The op told him and only him. This isn't libel or slander. At worst it's an insult, and you can't sue someone for insulting you in a private conversation. Probably they're just arranging a defense in case the op presses rape charges. If she doesn't, she has nothing to worry about. He's done. It's over. Two of my closest and only friends, MF, had drunken sex. Both are saying they didn't consent. Man, this one is a bad one. Basically, I am from a small city and recently moved to a different bigger city. Making friends was pretty hard, but eventually I ended up making about 4. My friend, let's call her Miranda, and the other Sean are my closest. My 2 other friends are Carly female, which is Miranda's best friend, and Taylor male, who recently became a part of the group and is good friends with me and Sean. Anyway, the other night we spent a fun night together of dancing at home and binge drinking to celebrate young single life lol. We all took tons of shots and drinks and had went to the bar prior. Literally frank until most of us passed out. When I woke up, me, Taylor and Carly were still at my apartment, but Sean and Miranda were gone. We had no idea where they were but left it alone. Apparently they ended up having a drunken one-night stand, which wasn't surprising honestly. Miranda always had the hots for Sean, always talked about how she wants to have sex with him and marry him and all kinds of crazy shit. Miranda also has a boyfriend, but was contemplating breaking up with him due to it not working out really. Sean didn't see her in that way. He's a very shy, but super hot guy. I've tried right-hand manning him and it didn't work. The girls would be interested in me until I revealed I was LGBT, then would want to be my friend and ignore him, so we gave up on that, haha. I'm also his only LGBT friend, so speaking to girls is easy for me. Anyway, recently, Sean and Miranda had been getting close during our hangouts, like very close. And eventually it led to that drunken night. 2 days later I get a call from Sean crying, saying he doesn't know what to do. I asked him what's wrong, and that's when I found out him and Miranda had sex while they were both super plastered. Taylor had found out earlier as well. Miranda, on the other hand, didn't say a word to me, but has told Carly everything. She began saying she was taking advantage of and it was non-consensual sex, which I agreed, but I also agreed he couldn't consent to it either. Sean sent me screenshots from his phone of Miranda saying she wanted him to come over back to her place and spend some alone time together. But Sean wasn't feeling it between all the drunken text and spelling mistakes everywhere from both of them. Eventually Miranda had gotten an Uber but claimed she didn't want to ride alone and needed someone to go with her. Miranda's other friend Jillian was there too, sober, and wanted to take her home, but she insisted no, she would Uber. Jillian asked to Uber and she told her no. Taylor says he watched Miranda and Sean talk in the kitchen and Sean threw up in the sink, but Miranda begged he go with her since he lived closer to her anyway. Must have worked, but they left. They made out in the Uber, had drunken sex and ate breakfast together the next morning. Things were quiet until the phone call, and I guess Miranda's boyfriend found out. Sean left one of his shirts. I'm so hurt and torn. They're all fighting and judging by how drunk we all were, how messy the apartment was, the text, everything. I really think Miranda got embarrassed about cheating on her BF and him finding out. Sean has never been known for doing anything like that. He says he doesn't even remember leaving the apartment until he woke up next to Miranda. Miranda says she didn't remember leaving either, but remembers getting an Uber home. It's an entire mess. Opinions? Our friend group is torn apart. Carly obviously sided with Miranda without a doubt, blocked Sean and admitted she didn't ask him what happened. Jillian says she knows they were both super drunk, but since Miranda is her friend she doesn't care about the other guy. Taylor says he feels like it was a bad situation because of two friends having sex but both of them also being drunk. He should have stopped Sean from leaving with Miranda knowing how drunk they both were and the sexual tension she had with Sean. I've also wanted to add me, Taylor and Jillian all have told Miranda multiple times that sleeping with him would be a stupid bad idea, but I guess she did it anyway. Help please lol. Update, first off, sorry about the spelling mistakes. I was frantic writing this last night and very sleepy. No one has said that two drunken people having sex and one being accused of rape is funny. We were laughing at the fact that someone who we thought were a close friend decided to fabricate an entire scenario and claim they were sexually assaulted by another even more drunk person. Sean lured him into her house, then claimed they had sex without consent the exact moment when their significant other found out they had cheated on them instead of fessing up with the truth. It was very quiet and everyone was normal up until their SO found out. I've been showing Sean and Taylor this thread to help us with the next steps, which is to cut the other people off and have our own group. I've collected and screenshot information from texts, phone calls, etc. in case this turns into something bigger. Lots of you guys have been super helpful with getting us back on track, super appreciated. Jillian says she knows they were both super drunk, but since Miranda is her friend she doesn't care about the other guy. Jillian and Miranda are both terrible people. If even just half of this story is true, Miranda raped Sean and she's just putting the blame on him, because her BF found out that she cheated. Why is everyone thinking this is funny or saying they can't take it seriously? Sounds like your friend Miranda raped your friend Sean. Be a good friend and cut off Miranda. Yeah, it sounds like Miranda is a rapist and false accuser. Okay, so reading through all of this, it is really obvious that Miranda was doing all she could to get Sean to come back with her. She may have been drunk as well, but her actions still state clearly that she was manipulating Sean into coming back with her, and she behaved predatorily. Yes, I'm sorry, but your friend Miranda is a sexual predator. You need to show all your friends this post and make them understand that Sean is the actual victim, and I would try to get Sean to file a police report if only to show that he's willing to assert his innocence. So they were both drunk, but to me it sounds like Sean was more intoxicated and Miranda took advantage of the situation, since you mentioned she was the one interested romantically. Just gets worse when you mention her declining to go home with Jillian, who was sober, while insisting that Sean goes with her, and now that she was outed, saying she didn't consent and was taken advantage of, is seemingly the best option for the least amount of judgment, even if Sean gets thrown under the bus in the process. Edit to add, they both said they don't remember leaving, but Miranda remembers getting in the Uber, which means she remembers leaving then. To me what happened is obvious, and if I was Sean I would cut you all out of my life for being indecisive. Her declining to go with Jillian and then pressuring Sean to come with her was absolutely sexual predation. She's a monster.